Okay, I'm going to need you to listen up because this is incredibly important. We are facing a huge problem nowadays. The problem of not being able to regulate these beautiful, intricate machines of ours. And yes, I am talking about our bodies. And when we can't regulate them, we fall into dis-ease. Dis-ease over time leads to disease. 85% of all disease processes are rooted in lifestyle choices. But it's not only about what we eat, it's not only about how much we work out. There are multiple layers involved here. So, yes, we need to move our body and be aware of what we're consuming, but we also need to be aware of our minds. Chinese medicine figured this out thousands of years ago. I mean, ever been in a situation where you were nervous? Heart racing, anxiety, maybe a lump in your throat, some butterflies in your stomach, then suddenly you need to use the bathroom 20 times over? Our mind. It governs our body. Even the gut brain connection movement in the last few years has made this more apparent. The biggest impact is on our heart. Heart arrhythmias, heart diseases, they actually begin with the mind because our thoughts control so much. I want you to think about a situation that you encountered maybe years ago that made you uneasy, upset. Maybe it was a particular person. Could even be someone that you still run into today. And every time you see them, you're immediately reminded about what happened. Why? Because feelings are chemicals. And you've associated that particular person or situation with the release of those particular chemicals. So every time you see them, you're taken right back to that situation. However, your subconscious does one better because your subconscious remembers everything. This means you don't necessarily have to recall right away that the shirt that person was wearing was dark blue, but your subconscious does. This means that those feelings are not only associated with that person, but could even be associated with something like the color blue. Yeah, the things that surrounded that situation. Because you're recalling a specific snapshot in time and re-releasing chemicals that were associated with that snapshot in time. So maybe it's a person, or maybe it's a history of struggling with money. Maybe you grew up with very little. There wasn't enough to go around. You saw the struggle when it came time to pay bills. So your heart jumps, even to this day. Every time you see a little white envelope in the mail that looks like a bill. We have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of those are the exact same thoughts as the day before. So, what does that really have to do with our bodies and our nervous system and our health overall? It means that we are constantly training our minds and bodies to respond in a particular way. And these days, it's the way of stress. So we have an autonomic nervous system. And within the ANS, or autonomic nervous system, is the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. We're going to zoom in on the central nervous system. There we have parasympathetics and sympathetics. Our parasympathetics govern the rest and digest. This is where we thrive. We grow, we learn better, Our digestive system works better. We even have stronger immune function because this is where we are in harmony, in balance. We grow, we heal, we develop, all in our parasympathetics. Now, in our sympathetics, this is our fight or flight system. It's our stress response. Here we activate the adrenal glands and release cortisol. And this is great when we're running from a bear in the woods. When we're in a life-threatening situation, we want our sympathetics to do their job. But it's not great when we're driving to work, meeting deadlines, trying to drop one of your kids off at ball practice and then race across town to pick up your other kid from dance. Meanwhile, your phone continues to ring because you forgot a meeting and you missed a deadline for a project. We are inundated with non-stop messages. And then we go home and we collapse on the couch with our glass of wine. I mean, that does sound nice. And we get lost in a TV show and we think that we're relaxing, but we're not. We're still being stimulated. We're trying to shut off and get our brains lost in something, but it's not working. We are getting locked into that fight or flight stress response. I want you to think of it this way. Our parasympathetics, our rest and digest, our healing and growth, that's our brake pedal. Our sympathetics, that fight or flight stress response, is our gas pedal. And you can only keep your foot down on the gas pedal for so long. Eventually, you're going to run out of gas. 3 things: trauma, toxins, and thoughts, i.e., physical, chemical, and emotional stressors can lead to this imbalance of our parasympathetics and sympathetics. This is what causes dis-ease within the body. And when it's not addressed and it continues to build, it becomes disease. Now, are there some genetic factors to consider? Sure. But only about 10% of cases are actually linked to genetics. In other words, you are not your genome. Your genetics may give you your hair color or your eye color, but they do not determine how you're using your gas pedal and your brake pedal. You have that control. Your ability to heal is far greater than many have actually permitted you to believe. But we have to stop giving our power away. Stop outsourcing it. You have the ability to change your entire life, whether it's the physical or the emotional, body, mind, or spirit. And if you're wanting to take that step, then I encourage you to go further with this. Don't just stop here. Do something right now. Change one of those 60 to 70,000 thoughts now. We can make excuses all day long, but it will never be just right or the perfect time. Trust me, it won't be. There will always be something. You have to learn to recognize it, take responsibility for it. Ooh, that hits hard for a couple of you. And then make the change. You have to do it. Not your spouse, not your parent, not your neighbor, not your dog. You have to do it. Even just 1 degree of change can put a ship on an entirely different course. And you don't have to completely blow up and burn down your life. Just change 1 degree, 1 shift every day. And pretty soon, you'll be on a completely different course. The question is, do you want it to be a course towards wellness and fulfillment, or a course of disease headed towards disease? Now, if you want to learn how to implement that 1 degree of change, we're not talking about an all-at-once radical implementation, just small, healthy changes in your habits. not just your physical or dietary, but also your emotional, then click on the link because I would love to have you join our next Synced Life group starting next month.